Namaste, Guruji.
Namaskaram, Guruji.
Namaskaram. Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ श्रीमेधा दक्षिणामूर्ति स्वामिने नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। हरिः ॐ। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्धदामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम् यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्ख्यपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तन्न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ। So namaste once again everyone. So in the 7th chapter, from the 4th verse onwards, Lord Krishna has been talking about Ishvara Swarupam. And the Lord pointed out that Ishvara consists of two parts. One is the higher nature, which is of the nature of consciousness, and the other is lower nature, which is of the nature of matter, material. And this Chit Jada Mishram, this mixture consisting of Chit and Jada, or Chetana Achetana Amshadvayam, is the nature of God. And this Ishvara happens to be the basic cause of the universe, from whom the whole universe arises, in which the universe rests, and into whom the universe resolves. And while studying this aspect, that God as the cause of the universe, we have to remember an important law. And that law is, whatever be the composition of the cause, the same will be the composition of the effect also. In Sanskrit, it is presented as Karana Gunaha Karye Anuvartate. The features of the cause inhere the effect also. So if out of a lump of gold we create ornaments, then the composition of the gold and the ornaments will be the same. Which means if gold has got 6% copper in it, then ornaments also will have the same percentage of copper. If it is an 18 karat gold, you cannot create a 24 karat ornament out of it. The ornaments created also will be 18 carats only. So this is not only in the case of regular products that we make. Even when we study the character of children, we find that many aspects of the character of the parents inheres in the children. We know that the children inherit the characters of father as well as the mother. In fact, when a child is born, when people come to visit, the first quiz that the visitors try to solve is finding out which one of the parents the child resembles. That's a very big, quiz. And normally, it is experienced that the relatives belonging to the boy's side, that's the father's side, they will say, oh, the child resembles exactly the father. And similarly, the relatives of the wives, that is the mother's side, they will say, oh, exactly, see the eyes, see the nose, it's all exactly like the mother only. This is what, because subconsciously we are aware that the aspects or the essence of the cause they inhere in the products. And of course, there are some people who are very diplomatic. They will say, oh, yeah, the child resembles both, The nose is like the father, the eyes are like the mother, chin is exactly like the father, etc. They will say. So that, they both are kept happy rather. And we also know that not only in features, even with regard to diseases like blood pressure, diabetes, etc., it is said that the children inherit from the parents. Doctors call them hereditary. So all these indicate the important law, karana gunaha karye anuvartate. And if this law is remembered, we can say Ishwarasya gunaha or Ishwarasya gunaha, karanabhuta Ishwarasya gunaha, karya bhute prapanche anuvartate. I hope you all, this much Sanskrit, I think you all must have become familiar with. If anybody has got any problem, please let me know. I will translate the whole thing. But I am trying to, use more Sanskrit words so that you all become little familiar. And these are all very simple sentences. And since Ishvara is a mixture of both Chetana Tattvam and Achetana Tattvam, the universe is also a mixture of conscious principle as well as inert principle. And therefore, Krishna claims here that whatever glories are there in the creation, all of them ultimately belongs to him alone, because he is the essence, the Sara of the creation. And by pointing out all these things, as I said in the last class also, Krishna wants that a total transformation should take place in our mind. So that hereafter, when we look at the creation, we do not look at it as the world, but we look at it as the manifestation of Chetana Achetana Mishra Bhuta Ishvara. That is how the attitudinal change Krishna wants to bring in all of us. Otherwise, what is the use of learning Bhagavad Gita? And this vision, as I said in the last class, is the Vishwarupa Darshanam of Ishvara, which will come in the 11th chapter. And Lord Krishna is gradually preparing us for this darshanam. So that in the 11th chapter, we will have the culmination of Vishwarupa Darshanam. In fact, Arjuna becomes scared by Vishwarupa Darshanam. He pleads to Krishna to please come back to your original form. The form with, the kiritam, four hands, etc. Anyhow, we will see the details when we come to the 11th chapter. So, like we discussed in the last class, Krishna makes a small difference. When we say the whole creation is the manifestation of the Lord, we know that not only wonderful things are the manifestation of the Lord, even the terrible things are also ultimately manifestation of the Lord only. Isn't it? Because if everything there, good, bad, ugly, is there in the world, everything should be manifestation of the Lord. But here, Krishna very diplomatically, very intelligently is suppressing the negative aspect. He is claiming only the glories, wonderful things as himself. Now you may question, is Krishna being unfair here? If not, yeah, so now we can get back. So as I was saying, Krishna makes a small difference. Because when we say the whole creation is the manifestation of Ishvara, the Lord, we know that not only the wonderful things are the manifestation of the Lord, even terrible things, they are also ultimately the manifestation of the Lord only. All good, bad, ugly, everything should be manifestation of the Lord. But Krishna very diplomatically, very intelligently is suppressing the negative aspect. Here, he is claiming only the glories and the wonderful thing as himself. So question is now, is Krishna being unfair? If not, what is the purpose of this deliberate suppression? And there is a very good reason for that. He suppresses the negative aspect for the time being because already we find it very difficult to develop devotion to God. Even when we are told all the glories, etc., we still we question the existence of God. So if Bhagavan is going to claim all the negative things also as himself, you can imagine, oh, one will never develop any devotion. And therefore, at the initial stages, we learn to look at the positive side of the creation and learn to appreciate it as Ishvara until we get enough maturity. And once we are sufficiently mature, we will be able to expand enough to include not only the positive, but also the negative aspect. In short, we will be able to look at the totality of the creation, which requires a lot of maturity. And the beauty is, once we are sufficiently mature, you will find that what you looked upon a part of creation as negative is really speaking not negative also. It is also as beautiful and required as the positive things. In fact, positive and negative, they are not opposed to each other. Unfortunately, we are now required to use terminology as positive, negative, which has got a connotation of opposition. Actually, they are complementary pairs. Therefore, we cannot hate a segment. Hating a part of the creation is immaturity. For example, we look upon birth as Mangalam, auspicious. And we always look at death as Amangalam, isn't it? We do not want to talk about the death of people, especially death of family members, especially death of very close people, including death of ourselves, because we think that it is Amangalam. In Hindi, if you talk of death, they say, oh, shubh shubh bolo. Why are you talking about death? Death is considered as something inauspicious, negative. And according to the Shastra, we look upon death as Amangalam not because death is inauspicious, It is because our mind is not mature enough to look at death also objectively. Nobody can deny that we will say Yamadharma Raja, we will pray to Yamadharma Raja, etc. All that we will do. Sandhya Vandanam when we do, we'll say Yamaya Namaha, Yamaya Dharma Rajaya, Mritave Chantakaya cha. All that mantra and all we will chant. But when it comes to that any topic, talk of death, oh no, 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 we will run away from that. All because immaturity. And that is why all these, these sadhanas like Sandhya Vandanam and all are also meant to, make the mind more and more mature, accept the entire universe as one, as Ishvara. And therefore, Krishna does not initially talk about death as his Swarupa, because like we avoid, perhaps Arjuna also will run away. And along with Arjuna, we will also not come from the next class rather. Therefore, he initially talks about Srishti and Sthiti only. And in the 11th chapter, he will talk about Layam also. And once our mind is sufficiently mature, by the time we come to the 11th chapter, we will come to know that everything is Bhagavan only. There is no question of good and bad. They are only complementary pairs in the creation. And that is the ultimate Vishwarupa Darshanam. But here, as I said, Krishna is deliberately suppressing the so-called negative things. In fact, we should not call them negative, but we can add so-called to that so that we understand that they are actually not negative, but so-called as negative. And that is why in verse number 10 he says, which we were seeing in the last class, Bijam mam sarva bhutanam vidhi partha sanatanam buddhir buddhimatamasmi tejas tejasvi namaham. I am the intelligence in the intelligent people. It does not talk about dullness in dull people, right? That's what he is avoiding. Because you do not want to talk about that until we get sufficient maturity. Similarly, he says, Tejas Tejas Vinamaham. In short, he says, Bijam Aham Sarva Bhutanam. Bijam Mam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the seed of the entire creation. So up to this we saw in the last class. Now the 11th shloka we will enter. Balam balavatam chaham kamaraga vivarjitam dharma viruddho bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarshava. So the anvaya of this shloka is, He Bharatarshava, cha balavatam balam aham asmi kamaraga vivarjitam bhuteshu kamah asmi dharma aviruddha. He Bharatarshava, O Arjuna, cha and balavatam of the strong, balam asmi, I am the strength, kama raga vivarjitam, which is free from desire and attachment, bhuteshu, in all beings, Kamah asmi, I am the desire. Asmi we have supplied. It is not there in the sloka. Kamah asmi, I am the desire. Dharma aviruddha, which is not opposed to dharma. Very important qualification. We'll come to that. So Arjuna, of the strong, I am the strength, which is free from desire and attachment. In all beings, I am the desire, which is not opposed to dharma. So the same idea is continued. He Bharatarshava. Bharatarshava is another title of Arjuna. Bharata means descendants of Bharata. Bharata Vamsha Jana is called Bharata. Rishabha means Sreshtha. So Bharata Vamsha Sreshtha. O Arjuna, who is the greatest in your family? Now don't think Krishna is just saying Arjuna is the greatest. If Bhishma was his student, he will still say, Bhishma, you are the greatest. He will call him also Bharatarshana. The idea is, the student, the Acharya always, praises the student so that the student should feel fine. You must feel very comfortable in learning. When you feel fine, you understand well. Nothing goes on in your mind. That is the psychology. A happy mind absorbs. And therefore, the teacher uses these techniques, these sambodhanas. You are wonderful. You are beautiful. It does not matter whether you are actually or not. Teacher encourages the students. Hey Saumya, it's often used in Upanishad. It's a Upanishad expression. Hey Saumya means, oh, pleasing one. So Bharatarshaba, Arjuna, Balavatam Balam Aham Asmi. In strong people, I am the very strength, because of which they enjoy the glory and status. And therefore, I am Balam, the Saraha, the essence, the basic principle. And if you extend it, you can put it in any context. Strength is the essence of all strong people. And therefore, I am the strength. And here we are not talking just about physical strength, mental strength, emotional strength. Everything we can take into account. But here Krishna wants to divide the strength into two types. One is positive strength, which is responsible for positive effects, constructive things. That also requires strength. And the second is negative strength, which you can call it a brutal strength or adharmic strength, which is the cause for destruction. And in the Puranas, we find that all the Rakshasas, they also had strength, but it was destructive. The strength of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, Ravana, all of them. And we also see the strength of Anjaneya, Rama, all of them. What is the difference? One is constructive, the other is destructive. So having divided this strength into these two, constructive and destructive strengths, Krishna very intelligently says, I am the constructive strength in the strong people. And what is the definition of constructive strength? Dharmika balam, positive strength. And Krishna gives a beautiful definition. Such a strength, he says, is free from kama raga vivarjitam. The strength which is not backed by selfish desires. Only selfishness, when selfishness dominates, the strength becomes destructive. Because to become great, I have to suppress someone. I have to destroy others. Isn't it? So kama means desires, selfish desire, and raga means attachment. And therefore, a strength which is free from, which is not polluted by kama and raga, is positive strength. Now, what is the difference between kama and raga? Normally, we will use these terms, interchangeably rather. Kama means raga. But here we have to understand there is a subtle difference. Kama is desire with regard to an object which is not yet acquired by me. Suppose I want to buy a watch. I go to the market and I see a beautiful watch in the shop window. I have a desire to possess that watch. So aprapta vishaye kamaha. And the moment I buy the watch, there is no more problem of desire because I have already bought and I am possessing it. And therefore, the kamaha is converted into raga, means I now have an attachment to this watch. Therefore, prapta vishaye raga hai. Aprapta vishaye kama hai. Prapta vishaye raga hai. Before buying it, it is a desire. After buying it, it is an attachment. So this kama and raga are the poison, and that strength which is free from both of them is pure strength. And Krishna says that pure strength I am. And not only that, in the second line he says, Hey Arjuna, I am the form of kamaha, the desire also in the people who have desires. So I am in the form of kamaha also in the people with desire. Now it is confusing. In the previous line, he says, I am the strength which is not polluted by desire. That means that in the previous line, desire was presented as an impurity. And that is why he said strength must be free from impurity called desire. Now, in the second line, Krishna says, I am desire also. That means what? Is he now slowly hinting I am impurity also? So now there is a problem. How to resolve this problem? So just as we divided strength into two types, we have to know that desires are also of two types. Desires, one is called dharmika kama, other is called adharmika kama. Those desires which will help me grow spiritually, constructive desires are dharmika kama. And those desires which will pull me down spiritually, destructive desires are adharmika kama. And therefore, even when we talk in Vedanta, we talk of desires, we talk of sannyasa, etc., renunciation. We must be very careful that desire for the benefit of the world is a positive desire. That desire one can have. What we must avoid is adharmika desires. So if I have a desire to do some service to others, to do my duty to the family, to help other people, they are all desires only, but they are desires which will help the other people and help me grow positively. In fact, if you look at it, ultimately, mumukshutvam, which is desire for moksha, is also a desire which will come under pure desire. In fact, while talking about sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, the fourfold qualification of the spiritual seeker, this is what is mentioned. Mumukshutvam is mentioned, desire for moksha. And in Tattvabodha, it is said, Tivra Ichha, a burning desire for moksha. So therefore, all desires are not negative desires. All desires do not have any negative connotation. Even to the desire to attend Gita class, is it dharmic or adharmic? Any desire which will promote spirituality is dharmic kama hai. Any desire which will promote your inner growth is dharmic kama hai. And that is why, even desire to earn wealth, Shankaracharya tells in Taittiriya Bhashyam, even desire for money can be a wonderful desire provided I want to earn plenty of money, not just to keep it under lock and key and enjoy and pass it on to my own generations, next generation or seventh generation. It will then become adharmic ichha. But when I want plenty of money for sharing it with others, for constructing ashram, to teach Vedanta, Veda Patashala, for helping the society, for Panchamaha Yajna, even dhanam, giving dhanam, the dhana ichha becomes a dharmika ichha. That's why in Taittiriya, Shankaracharya beautifully says, Dhanam dharmartham, dharma chitta shuddhyartham, chitta shuddhi jnanartham, jnanam mokshartham. So beautifully he connects. Dhanam, charity, dharmartham, for the purpose of dharma. And dharma is for chitta shuddhyartham, for the purpose of gaining purity of the mind. Chitta shuddhi jnanartham, the pure mind or getting a pure mind is for the purpose of knowledge. What knowledge? Vedanta knowledge. And jnanam mokshartham, and knowledge will lead to moksha. Purpose of jnanam is not just intellectual jnanam, but you must be freed from the samsara chakra. Therefore, we cannot look down upon all desires. Money can be used for noble activities, and noble activities will be useful for purification of the mind. Purification will be useful for knowledge, and knowledge will be useful for liberation. Thus, even desire for wealth can be dharmika ichcha. And Krishna says, such a dharmic desire I am. And therefore he says, hey Arjuna, aham kamaha asmi. And what type of kamaha? Dharma aviruddha kamaha. In whom bhuteshu, manushyeshu, dharma purusheshu, I am the noble desire in noble people. That's what he says in the 11th sloka. Now he continues. ये चैव सात्विका भावाः राजसास्तामसाश्च ये मत्त एवेति तान् विद्धि न त्वहं तेषु ते मयि. अन्वय is भावा है ये च एव सात्विका है राजसा है च ये तामसा है विद्धितान ते मत्तः एव इति aham nateshu, you can add asmi, tu te mayi vartante. You can add supply vartante. Because slokas many times are not having the verbs, so we have to supply the verbs. Bhava hai, all the states of mind, the thoughts. Yecha eva sattvika hai, which are affected by sattva guna, which are backed by sattva guna. Rajasa hai, cha ye tamasa hai, and rajoguna and tamoguna. Viddhitan, may you know all of them. Mattaha eva iti, to be born of me alone. Aham na teshu, I am not dependent on them. Tu te mayi, but they are dependent on me. So all the states of mind which are affected by sattva guna, rajoguna and tamoguna, know all of them to be born of me alone. I am not dependent on them, but they are dependent on me. So now, until now, Krishna has talked about external world, which is the product of the Lord, and therefore which is the manifestation of the Lord. Now here, Krishna points out that not only the external world, Even the internal world of thoughts is a product of the Lord alone. And therefore he says bhava hai. Bhava hai means antakarana parinama hai. The inner world of thoughts, the inner world of vrittis. They are called bhava hai here. Chitta parinama hai. Chitta parinama hai. Plural we can use. And these thoughts are also a product of Ishvara only. And according to the scriptures, even the thoughts are inert by themselves. But they appear to be sentient because of the pervasion of para prakriti. So the consciousness blesses the thoughts, and that is how thoughts become known. We are able to realize and understand the thoughts. And therefore, in the mind, there are two parts. One part is the changing thought, and the other part is the changeless consciousness. The consciousness part belongs to para prakriti. The changing thoughts belongs to apara prakriti. But the problem is the thought and consciousness are so intimately intertwined that we are many times not able to discriminate them. I think long ago I have given the example of the hand here also and also in Viveka Chudamani class, if I recall. If I show you the hand, what is there? All of you will say it is a hand. Then I will ask what else is there? We will say in the hand fingers are there, nails are there. Then I will say what else is there? You will say lines are there. Then I will ask what else is there? You will think for a minute, oh, bacteria, dust is there. All that things are there. In fact, we will enumerate everything but miss one thing. What is that? The light which is not part of the hand, but which is a distinct entity, but which we don't recognize unless specifically told. The light and the hand are intimately mixed together. So we just miss the light always. So of these two principles, the hand is the moving part, the light is the motionless part. We have discussed this number of times, right from Tattva Bodha, we have discussed this. Well, these are all things we have to understand when we try to understand Brahman, the consciousness. When we say consciousness is all pervading, this is what we have to understand. So similarly, the scriptures point out within our mind also there are two things. One is the changing thought, which is changing every moment. In fact, every movement also probably is a long time. Every nanosecond, you can call it. In fact, right from the first word that I uttered in today, your mind has been changing. In fact, your mind has to entertain thoughts in keeping with the movement of my words. Every word I utter should generate what? It has to enter through your ears and you should know the meaning. And in accordance with the meaning, a thought will come. And my words are moving very fast. What about your thoughts? Suppose your thoughts are permanently stable. What will happen? Whatever the first word I uttered, only that word will remain. Now imagine my plight. It will not be your plight. It will be my plight. For 1 hour I will go on talking. But all of you will be stuck in my first word only then. It will be like I am talking to a wall. Fortunately, that is not the case. Bhagawad has been very compassionate with us. In fact, in Panchadashi, Vidyaranya Swami compares thoughts to the greatest dancer in the world. How the dancer moves the hands and legs so fast. Similarly, the mind assumes thoughts after thoughts. The thoughts are varying, but there is one thing which is not varying at all, and it is the consciousness. And that is why you are conscious of my first sentence, conscious of my second sentence, conscious of my third sentence. So conscious, continuous flow is there of the thoughts. And even when the mind is blank without thoughts, I am conscious of that blankness of the mind also. And therefore, what is continuously and changelessly present in the consciousness part, which is called para prakriti, and whatever changes is apara prakriti. So the changing thoughts are apara prakriti. And Krishna says, Arjuna, every thought that rises in your mind is my own apara prakriti. And we also saw para prakriti is nirgunam and apara prakriti is sagunam. And this apara prakriti is supposed to have three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tamas. Sattva standing for knowledge faculty, rajas standing for dynamism or activity, and tamas standing for dullness or delusion. So knowledge, activity, and delusion. Sattva, rajas, and tamas. So these are the three gunas belonging to apara prakriti. Now the thoughts which are products of apara prakriti, obviously they will also have these three gunas by applying the same law. Karana guna hai karye anuvartate. And since apara prakriti has got these three gunas, every product of apara prakriti has three gunas. Entire material universe has got these three gunas. Body has got three gunas. Mind, thoughts can be categorized into satvika bhava hai, or satvika bhava hai, satvika vritti hai, standing for thoughts or knowledge, noble thoughts, etc. So anyhow, more about these gunas and all we will study in the 14th chapter. So here Krishna is just introducing the three gunas which are part of apara prakriti. So since we'll be seeing the details later, we need not go into the details. So Satvika Bhavaha means noble thoughts. Rajasika Bhavaha means intermediary or dynamic thoughts. And Tamasaha Bhavaha means Tamasic Bhavaha means thought. Sorry, Tamasaha Bhavaha means English and Sanskrit get mixed up. Thoughts of delusion. Moha Vrittaya. In fact, Shankaracharya doesn't refer to them as Satvika, Rajasa, and Tamasa. He says, many commentaries, Sukha, Dukkha, and Moha Vrittaya, he says. Because that is the ultimate result of these three types of thoughts. So, in short, varieties of thoughts occur in our mind, and all of them arise from where? Krishna says, Mattaha eva ititan viddhi. All those mental states are born out of me alone. Which part of me? The apara prakriti part of me alone. And here in his bhashyam, of course we are not studying the bhashyam, but in his Shankara bhashyam of Gita, Shankaracharya makes a small note that this line can be understood and misinterpreted also. And Shankaracharya's job is what? Wherever people can misinterpret, then add a note to explain. So now, what is that? When Krishna has said all forms of thoughts are born of me alone, which means I am responsible for all forms of your thoughts. Very convenient and wonderful. So when we get violent anger or jealousy, when we get destructive thoughts and we cause problems to others, when other people come and complain and say, no, you have done this, you must assume responsibility, I can easily say, do not blame me at all. Because Bhagavan has said in the Gita that he is responsible for all thoughts. Therefore, if you want to attack somebody, criticize Bhagavan. I am innocent, where such a misinterpretation is possible. So we can continue to be irresponsible by putting all the blame on the Lord. This is all the confusion many people will have. Even people like us who have heard this, still we will not be devoid of such confusion. Therefore, Shankaracharya very beautifully brings out, which we have already seen, two types of causes, Samanya Karanam and Vishesha Karanam. So Shankaracharya says, Bhagavan is only Samanya Karanam for the rise of thoughts. Bhagavan is only the general cause for the origination of thoughts, whereas your buddhi, your free will, your samskaras is the Vishesha Karanam, the specific cause for the type of thoughts. And therefore, Bhagavan is Samanya Karanam, you are Vishesha Karanam. And what is the difference between Samanya and Vishesha? We have already seen. I'll give you an example. Let us take the example of a house. What is the general cause of the house? We can say brick, cement, etc., steel, etc. Samanya Karanam for all houses. Because without brick, cement, steel, etc., houses cannot be built. Therefore, they are called Samanya Karanam. It is the general cause for all houses. But even though brick cement is the cause for all houses, what should be the particular shape of the house? How many rooms should it have? Whether it should be a single floor or two floors or three floors? Whether it should have a small kitchen, large kitchen, all those details. Whether it should be rectangular, whether it should be square, all these are not determined by brick and cement. I, as the owner of the house, have to decide what should be the pattern of the house, and therefore my plan becomes Vishesha Karanam. And that is why from owner to owner, the pattern of the house differs. Not because of brick and cement differ, but because that is the Samanya Karanam. But houses differ because of the Vishesha Karanam. Desires of the owner, they all look different. Or to give you another example, because we can give any number of examples. Petrol or gas is the Samanya Karanam for the movement of the car. So let us say fuel is the Samanya Karanam for the movement of the car. Whether the car should move on the road or on the pavement or anywhere else, the direction of the car is not determined by the fuel. It is determined by the particular driver. Therefore, fuel becomes Samanya Karanam. Driver becomes a Vishesha Karanam. Similarly, for our thoughts also, God becomes Samanya Karanam and our discrimination becomes the Vishesha Karanam. And here, Krishna is referring to Samanya Karanam. So you should not mix up the two, Samanya Karanam and Vishesha Karanam. Therefore, Mattaha we can translate as Samanya Karanat Eva Sarvam iti Vidhi. May you know that they are all in me. I am the one who has generated all these thoughts. And then Krishna concludes, Natu aham teshu te mahi. This entire creation, being a product born out of me, is dependent on me, the cause, because the law is any effect depends upon the cause for its existence. Karanam vina karyam na tishtati. Try to remove gold and have ornaments, it is not possible. Try to remove wood from furniture, it is not possible. Because the very existence of the effect always depends upon the cause. And therefore the effect depends on the cause, whereas the cause does not depend upon the effect. Because even if the whole world is destroyed, the cause Ishvara will continue to exist. And therefore Krishna says, Arjuna, I do not depend on the world, but the world depends on me. And that is why during Pralayam, even when the whole world is resolved, I continue to exist. And therefore he says, Teshu. Teshu means Karya Padarteshu. Aham na ashrito bhavami. Na ashrayami. I do not depend upon the products, the world. Whereas they, the worldly products, or the entire world, is Mayi Ashritaha Vartante. They depend on me. They exist by depending on me. They are borrowing their existence from me alone. And since the Lord has got independent existence, the Lord is called Satyam. And since the world has got dependent existence, the world is called Mithya. Therefore, I am Satyam, the world is Mithya. This is the essential message of this sloka. Now, next sloka. त्रिभिर्गुणमयैर्भावैः येभिः सर्वमिदं जगत् मोहितं नाभिजानाति मामेभ्यः परमव्ययम्. Anvaya is mohitam ebihi bhavaihi tribihi gunamayaihi idam sarvam jagat na abhijanati mam param ebhyah avyayam. Sarvam, yeah, correct. So mohitam, deluded, ebihi bhavaihi, by these states of mind, tribihi gunamayaihi, which are affected by the three gunas. Idam sarvam jagat, this whole world, na abhijanati, does not know, mam, me, param ebhyah, who am beyond these, avyayam, and who am changeless. So deluded by these states of mind, which are affected by these three gunas, this whole world does not know me, who am beyond these and who am changeless. So, with the previous verse, 12th verse, I told you earlier also, Ishvara Swarupam, he has talked from verse number 4 to 12. So, with the previous verse, Krishna concludes the topic of Ishvara Swarupam, the nature of the God. So what are the main points he mentioned? God is a mixture of para and apara prakriti. That is Chetana, Achetana, Tattvam. This is point number 1. Feature number 1. The second feature is God alone is Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam of the world. He is the creator, the preserver, and the destroyer. Srishti Sthiti Laya Karanam is the second important feature. And the third important feature is God being the cause, he alone manifests as the entire world, and therefore world is the manifestation of God. The world is divine. That is what I called Vishwaswarupa Ishwaraha. That is the third important feature. And the fourth and the final thing is, since God is the cause and the world is the effect, God has got independent existence, therefore Satyam. The world has got dependent existence, therefore Mithya. In fact, this is discussed in Brahma Sutra. Vyasacharya refers to as a Ananyatvam. It's a very important commentary that Brahma Sutra Shankaracharya writes. There is one Adhikaranam called Arambhadhikaranam, and which is all about Tad Anyatvam, independent of God, the independence of God. So with this, the Ishvara Swarupam topic is over. Now in the following verses, that is the 13th verse onwards, Krishna wants to point out why the human beings suffer in the world. When everything is God, why should there be suffering? Why do people get frustrated? Samsara karanam kim? And Krishna gives the answer in the 13th verse, in this verse. 1 minute is there. So first, I will give you the essence of this verse. It's a very important verse. And we say it is very important because this verse gives the diagnosis of all our emotional problems, all our mental problems. And the diagnosis is very important if the treatment should be successful. Without diagnosis, you cannot go on trying all medicines possible, all the systems, allopathic, Ayurvedic, homeopathic, Unani, Siddha Vaidyam, everything you go on trying. Say whatever medicine is there, I will try. It will not get, that easily cured. Many times one dose, the person is immediately close. So therefore, you cannot afford to take any medicine, any treatment without diagnosis. And in fact, this is the principle, fundamental principle of all treatment. And in fact, the greatest wonder is we have been doing exactly that only. And that is why Krishna says, now let me talk about why you people are all unhappy, why you are all suffering. That's what Krishna introduces in this verse. We will see the details in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Dhanyavadaha everyone. Thank you very much.
धन्यवाद रघु जी.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ ಗುರುಜಿ.
Thank you very much,
ಧನ್ಯವಾದ
Guruji.
ಗುರುಜಿ.
I hope
Namaskaram.
after I connected to my this phone, you could all hear the session
clear.
went off well. Yeah.
Yes,
It was
Guruji.
absolutely loud and clear after that.
Very good. Very good.
Thank you, Guruji. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ.
Hari Om.
Thank you,
you.
Guruji. Namaskaram.
Namaskaram.
Thank you, Guruji. Hari Om. Thank you.
नमस्कार.
Hari Om. Namaskaram. Namaste.
Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.
Hari Om. I just have a small question, and maybe it will get answered in the coming lessons, I guess. Different meanings of tamas, sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. The different meanings of the tamasic. Tamasic is always considered as a negative one, but it is also required because it's only because of the tamasic aspect of our nature. We also feel sleepy, and then we go to sleep, and the body and the mind gets rest. Am I right?
Nothing is negative. Absolutely right. There is nothing. It is because our immaturity that we look at things as positive.
Yeah.
Tamasic guna is very much required. In fact, what the spiritual seekers attempt is to not allow tamasic guna to overpower him.
Predominant.
Predominant should not be there. So predominant should be sattva guna. Rajo guna is required because without rajo guna, you will not even, the food will be there, you will not be able to eat. Right? It will not automatically go. Rajo guna is required. Then tamasa guna is also required for rest, recuperation. So all three gunas are required. Only thing is, in a spiritual seeker, the proportion we must be able to manage and adjust. That's all. Yeah. Okay. Yes,
Yes.
Krishji. Anyway, that's it. Okay, na?
Yes, Guruji. Thank you. Hari Om.
Yeah.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
You were talking about two karana, samanya
Samanya
karana,
karana.
vishesha karana. What is that English words for that? Is there any?
General cause and special cause.
Okay.
General
Okay.
cause of all buildings is brick and mortar, cement. Special
Okay.
cause is the person who is getting the house built because he will give the design. He will say,
Okay.
I want so many bedrooms, I want upper story,
Agree.
the balcony. That
Correct.
is special cause, right?
Okay.
So anything in the universe, if you take, it has got both Samanya Karanam and Vishesha Karanam. That is the thing. So similarly, here also when Krishna says, I am the person because of whom all your thoughts are born, that is only referring to Samanya Karana, not Vishesha Karana. Understand? So you must not say, oh, Krishna is responsible for everything. Don't ask me anything. Go and ask Krishna. That will not be an acceptable answer.
Correct.
That's why.
You have already told that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is why, you know, Adi Shankaracharya makes all these points very clear in the Bhashyam.
Very.
Yeah.
And another comment I just wanted to make is for the people who have not attended the Tattva Bodha like me, okay, and actually we got into the spiritual path just like that abruptly, and we started from somewhere. But when I went through your Tattva Bodha classes, I think that lays a fantastic foundation. There is
Not
no
my
doubt
Tattva
about it.
Bodha classes. Pujya Swami's discovery of Tattva Bodha text, his teaching of Tattva Bodha, and all his students have taught Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha, if you master, if you understand, then you don't need any Upanishad. Actually speaking, you know. So Tattva Bodha is a masterpiece.
Yeah, it is
Every
mind-boggling.
aspect of Upanishad is covered in that.
No doubt about it. I have gone up to 7 of the videos.
Very good.
And fantastic means twice, thrice, and it lays a, I mean, I would say fantastic foundation, no doubt about it. Mind-boggling. Thank you so much.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Any other question?
Guruji, this is not a question. I'm here again. Not a question. It's just earlier we were talking about Mangala and Amangala, the opposite. One thing is nice to see in this Western world is here they consider both at equal terms, both birth and death. They talk about death as freely as birth. They talk about diseases as freely as health. And our culture in home country is to not to speak much about death or disease or especially cancer and things like that. But here, everything is discussed openly. And in fact, we have many companies promoting the different funeral plans.
Yeah. They are more objective in their approach, you know. I mean, it's true. Very more objective. That's true. Very true. I've also observed that. Yeah, that's true. Just meant for these lessons are meant for us. Anyhow, that's okay.
So this
Thank you, Hari Om. Thank you.
This Samanya Karanam is a general cause of thought by the Bhagavan. He plants the thought, and Vishesha Karanam is you developing these thoughts due to desire, attachment, and dvesham because of your free will.
Correct.
Is my understanding right?
Absolutely. Bhagavan gives you the canvas.
Okay.
You paint in that.
Right.
And you can say, Bhagavan has given me the painted canvas. No. Bhagavan has provided you the canvas. So you use your free will, because free will you can use it in any way. So you use your free will and get into all problem, not only for yourself troubles, also for others also.
Oh,
that is how correct understanding.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So no more questions. So we can close the session. Continue in the next class. Hari Om. Thank you all.
Hari Om. Thank you, Guruji.
Thank you.